Okay, well, hello there, Desmond. This should just be you on this video. So you are in Math 6. Let me go ahead and fix the date for you. So you should see that it's on your video that it was March 30th, 2020. Okay, on your video it should say Math 6. Okay, and today you're on lesson 103. So check and make sure you're on the right video. I want you to be able to do them in order, okay? We'll go ahead and get started. If you make sure that you're on the right video, make sure you have paper to take notes with and a pencil. It would be good for you to work out the examples that I work out. That way you can make sure that you're understanding it, since I can't hear you ask questions, okay? So give that a try. Okay. Well, when we left off with math, we've been working with fractions. So we had added fractions, subtracted fractions, and multiplied fractions, and then we started dividing fractions. And if you remember when we did dividing fractions, we did keep it, change it, flip it. Okay, so remember that's our rule for multiplying fractions. So keep it means keep the first fraction the same. Changing it was to change it from division to multiplication. Okay, and then flip it, remember, is a simple word for the math word reciprocal. So reciprocal is when we have a fraction, and if I say give me the reciprocal, then we flip it, and this becomes the reciprocal. Okay, now we have a lot of other things going on with fractions. Today we're actually going to be dividing some mixed numbers. Now if you remember, a mixed number has a whole number and a fraction. So this is a mixed number. It's mixed with a whole number and a fraction. And what we want to be careful of is to start trying to work with it this way. We want to make it into an improper fraction so that we can work with it. And remember how to make an improper fraction. Let's do that to this fraction. Remember, what I can do is I can say 3 times 1 is 3, and then we add the top number. So 3, 4, 5. So the numerator would be 5, and remember the denominator stays the same. Okay, let's do another one really quick to refresh. 2 and 4/5. Okay, let's change that into an improper fraction. So I multiply 2 times 5 is 10, plus 4 is 14. That becomes my numerator, and my denominator remains 5. And we need an improper fraction in order to multiply and work with these fractions a little bit better. Okay? So let's go ahead and do some of the examples. We're on page 246 in your book. And they give us this problem. Okay, so we see multiple things going on right here. We see that we have a division problem, so I'm already hearing keep it, change it, flip it. But before we get to that, we need to make sure that we're ready to work with these. Now this fraction is good, we can work with it, but we need to change this mixed number just like we did over here to be able to work with it. So 2 times 3 is 6, plus 1 is 7. Denominator remains 2. Now let's just go ahead and finish by writing the rest of our problem out. And now we're ready to do keep it, change it, flip it. So keep it, change it, flip it. So we keep the first fraction, we change the sign of the from division to multiplication, and then we do the reciprocal, or we flip the fraction here. So now we're ready to do our multiplying. Multiply across the top. 7 times 4 is 28. 2 times 1 is 2. Now can we keep this in this form? No, we don't want our answer to be an improper fraction, but we can go ahead and divide 28 divided by 2, because that's just a simple division problem, and we get what? 14. And I circle my answer. Okay? So that's how we multiply and divide using mixed numbers. Let me go ahead and write another example. Our next example is of a word problem. It says, Mrs. Powers ordered 7 pizzas for the party. She divided the pizza evenly among the tables. She placed 2 1/3 pizzas on each table. How many tables were there? Okay, so she took her 7 pizzas and she divided it among how many tables? That's what we want to find out, right? But we know that she put 2 1/3 pizza on each table. Okay, so this is our division problem that we want to do. Okay, so let's go ahead and we want to change both of these into fractions that we can work with. So what do we do to 7 as a whole number to change it to a fraction? Right, do you remember? 7 divided by 1 is 7, so we're actually not changing the problem, but we're putting it into fraction form. Okay, I'm going to bring down my division sign, and I want to change this into an improper fraction. 3 times 2 is 6, plus 1 is 7. Okay, so now we want to do what? Keep it, change it, flip it. So keep it, change it, flip it. Now, I want you to see something before we go ahead and just start multiplying. This is the point where we can talk about reducing our fraction. 7 over 1, will that reduce? No. 3 over 7, will that reduce? No. But then remember, we can cross-reduce, and that's really important when we're working with these fractions because it keeps us from getting really big numbers over here on this side. So I can't cross-reduce 3 and 1, but I can cross-reduce 7 and 7. Both of them can divide by 7. So 7 divided by 7 is 1, and 7 divided by 7 is 1. Now I have 1 over 1 times 3 over 1. 1 times 3 is 3. 1 times 1 is 1. And of course, 3 over 1 equals 3. Or 3 divided by 1 equals 3. Okay, so how many tables did she have? She had 3 tables. Make sure that when it's a word problem, we go ahead and label it. So our answer should look something like this. Okay? Okay, we have one more example to do before you get started. Okay, so the next one is Mrs. Powers bought 8 1/3 pounds of rice. She divided the rice into containers holding 1 2/3 pounds each. How many containers were used to hold the rice? Okay, so again we have another division word problem. So we have 8 1/3 divided by 1 2/3. Okay, so again we want to change these mixed numbers into improper fractions. Okay, so 3 times 8 is 24, plus 1 is 25. 3, 4, 5. Okay, so now we can do keep it, change it, flip it. So keep it, change the sign, flip the fraction. Now before we multiply, we want to see about reducing. Okay, so no reducing this way or this way, but we can cross-reduce. Both of these can divide by 5, can't they? So 25 divided by 5 is 5. And 5 divided by 5 is 1. And then here we have 3. So 3 divided by 3 is 1. 3 divided by 3 is 1. Okay, so let me write down what we have. I'm going to do it up here. 5 over 1 times 1 over 1. Okay, so now we can multiply. And we've done all of the work, so this is a really easy problem. 5 times 1 is 5. 1 times 1 is 1, which equals 5. But 5 what? Let's look back at the word problem and see what they were asking us for. How many containers? Okay, So this would be 5 containers. Whoops, running out of room. Okay, and this would be my answer. Okay, so if you will look over at the next page, you will find your work for lesson 103. So let's do 1 through 12, and let's do 14 through 18. So you don't have to do number 13, okay, and you don't have to do the chapter 16 review, the 19, 20, 21, and 22. Okay, so 1 through 12 and 14 through 18. Okay, we'll talk to you soon, Desmond. Have a great day.